we are live. What's going on? Let's just make sure everything here is going well. And yes, we're live. Hey, everybody, welcome back. Woo! That's a problem when you have multiple screens open. Good morning. Welcome back to another live lesson right here on English Outside the Box. I'm Jennifer Nascimento, and I'm the teacher here at English Outside the Box. And here, I help English learners like you master their everyday English skills. These everyday English skills are going to help you live life more comfortably and more confidently in English. I am going to help you get a better job, pass the TOEFL, study in a university, or live more comfortably and confidently abroad. So wherever you're joining me from, I want to know. I want to know where you're saying hello from. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, good evening. So we have a double live here going again. We're on Facebook and we are on YouTube too. All right, so we have Brazil, Iraq. Hello, Brazil, Cambodia. Awesome. 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 That is so great. So we are talking about phrasal verbs today, and we are going to do a little bit of dictation practice. So, of course, every and all lessons, you should definitely be participating. A lot of the times I'll ask a question and I want your participation because I want you to practice. So I like you to comment back. I like you to answer and you to participate. So I'm not just talking to myself. We want to make this as much of a real learning experience like we're together as much as we can. Awesome. How are you? So everyone, I am doing wonderfully. I am doing wonderfully. I am in, a lot of people ask, I am from the US and right now I'm in Arizona. So it's on the West Coast. It's the state right next to California. And that's why it's morning here. And yeah, that's where we're at. Dictation practice. Now, dictation practice can be a little bit challenging because it really tests your listening skills and it tests your ability to differentiate accents. That means understand. It helps with your ability to understand linking words and phrases. And yeah, it just helps with your overall listening skills. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's check our participation. Let's check our engagement. If you're watching live, I want you guys to type in the chat box, okay? Type in the chat box, type in the comments what you hear me say when we start this dictation challenge. And yes, okay, so we're gonna start with you writing the comments in, you writing your sentence in the comments, all right? We're gonna start easy. We're gonna start easy. You're gonna write what you hear. Again, this is to check participation. We're gonna start easy because I wanna make sure you're participating. To participate is how you're gonna learn. All right, so here's the first dictation challenge sentence. I'm gonna say a sentence and you're gonna write it in the comments. If you're watching the replay, you can still write it in the comments or you can write it on a piece of paper. So are we ready? I know there's a little bit of a delay. However, let's start again with something easy. I can tell her. There we go. So you want to write what you hear me say in the comments. This is a dictation challenge, practicing what you hear. I'm going to repeat it a couple of times, okay? I can tell her. I can tell her. I can tell her. I can tell her. So you want to write what you hear me saying. Okay? You want to write it in the comments and write it in the chat. All right. So it sounded a little different. Whoops, sorry guys, my tripod's getting crazy here. It sounded a little different than how it actually looks, right? How it looks sounds a little different. So everyone here on YouTube has gotten it correct. Facebook, we can do better next time if it's a challenge, right? So what I said was I, the subject I, the modal can, C-A-N, can, and then tell, T-E-L-L, her, H-E-R. I can tell her. A couple of people wrote teller, like T-E-L-L-E-R, which is how it sounds when it's linked. So when we say tell her, and we're saying it really quickly, we actually don't pronounce that H. We say teller, 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 which is why there is some confusion. So we often cut or drop that H sound. All right. That was a little too easy, right? Was that too easy for you guys? You guys are just way too good for something like that. So a request here. This is actually going to be getting into something entirely different. But just to make a note of this right now is Adriana, you're here every week, love ya. You asked me to say, I can't tell her, okay? Cannot. So as you know, in American English, I cannot speak, about British English. In American English, the T sound is a little tricky. The T never wants to be a T. The T wants to be all of these other things. So when we have a T at the end of the word, it is very common to cut it. We don't pronounce it, which is why there's a difficulty with the word can, C-A-N, and difficulty with the word can't, C-A-N-T. Because when we say can't, we don't actually pronounce that T. So let's hear a little bit of this difference, all right? So here we're going to say cannot. I can't tell her. I can't tell her. I can't tell her. Okay? Let's look a little bit at the difference and compare the two. First one is can. Second one is going to be cannot, all right? Listen closely. I can tell her. I can't tell her. I can tell her. I can't tell her. I can tell her. I can't tell her. So what do you notice there? What do you notice different in those two sentences? What do you notice different in the two sentences? I can tell her. I can't tell her. I can tell her. I can't tell her. Think about that, and I want you guys to write down what you hear as the difference in those two sentences, and then we're going to move on to talk a little bit more about phrasal verbs. So what do you notice as the sound? And if you're watching on Facebook, click that share button and share this button so we can teach everybody today. So Alini, I can see the difference between them. What is the difference? So what is that difference between those two sentences? Dora said the A sound, which is absolutely correct. Can't. sounds stronger and more slowly. So can't, when something sounds stronger, that means there is an emphasis on that vowel. In the second sentence, I hear the ain't or and, A-N-T, Pauline. Hi, Pauline. The and more emphasized. You say can fast and you say can't a little slow. Excellent, you guys. Awesome, awesome, awesome. This is really, really good practice. Really good practice. So this is why I love live lessons, because we can, your comments, your engagement, we can learn so much more. So focusing a little bit on this pronunciation difference here, right? We have can, C-A-N, and can't, C-A-N-T. The difference there is in the stress, the emphasis, or the focus of that A, of the vowel sound. So when we have I can tell her, it's not emphasized, it's not really stressed, and it just has the I sound. We just let it roll off the tongue. I can tell her. Okay? When we have the can't, there's more emphasis on that A. It actually sounds more like an A. Can't tell her. So it just gets a little bit more emphasis and focus. Woo! Okay, so pat yourself on the back because that was a great, great job. But that is not even the fun we're going to have today. We're going to be doing 2 more sentences. We're going to be including and then talking about some phrasal verbs. So I have this one little hair in my face. So get ready again, get your thumbs ready to type, get your fingers ready to type, or get out your pencil and your paper, because we are going to do one more. I'm going to give you a hint just to help you out. We're going to do a question this time. Okay, so this is going to be a question. Okay, so I'm going to say it. There's a delay, so I'm going to pause a little bit, and then we're going to say it again. Are we ready? Okay, dictation, here we go. When'd you whip her up some food? Again, a hint, this is a question. When'd you whip her up some food? When'd you whip her up and, oh, I messed that one up. When'd you whip her up some food? When'd you whip her up some food? When'd you whip her up some food? Okay, so I definitely want your participation and your comments in the chat. Bessie, great job. Great participation. I'm going to give you a thumbs up for that. Okay, so I'm going to say it one more time. Aha! Nobody has the same sentence anywhere. I love this. I mean, I don't love your mistakes. I'm sorry. I love the trying. Okay, we're going to say it a couple more times. When'd you whip her up some food? When'd you whip her up some food? If you haven't tried yet, give it a go. Give it a go means to try. Okay, one more time. Sorry, I know there's just a delay, so I want to give people time to answer. Last time. When'd you whip her up some food? All right, so the most common, awesome, Ibrahim. Ibrahim, great. Great. You basically got everything, Ibrahim, except the phrasal verb that we're going to be reviewing. So most people got the first part correct, but there's still a lot of variety. So let me say it really slowly, still linking and connecting all the sounds. So when you whip whipper up some food? When you whip her up some food? When did you whip her up some food? One more time. When did you whip her up some food? So a lot of you guys used that. A lot of you guys used the verb prepare. When did you prepare her some food? A lot of you guys used the verb prepare instead of the phrasal verb whip up. Whip up, okay? We also have whip her up. And remember, we talked about that H dropping. So instead of whip her up, it's whip her up, whip her up, whip her up, okay? So you guys can practice your pronunciation with this lesson as well by repeating what you hear me say. If you're watching the replay, pause, rewind, and practice what you hear me say. Carson Austin in the house. Welcome. Whip her up. So Carson, I'm going to let you control the comments over here and explain what whip her up some food means. All right, so the beginning part, awesome. So everyone's writing, when did you rip? So it's not rip and it's not wipe, it's whip. So we have W-H-I-P, whip. Whip her up some food, all right? So whip her up some food. Awesome. Okay. So when did you whip her up some food has so many different linking and connecting principles in there. Let's focus on when did you is when you, whip her up, whip her up, whip her up, and then some food. When did you whip her up some food? Okay. Awesome. Okay. Facebook, go ahead and click share while you're typing. We're going to do one more practice. We're going to do one more practice. Okay. When did you whip her up some food? When did you whip her up some food? Adriana B, good. YouTube, check the last comment from Adriana B, and that is exactly what the sentence looks like. All right. So now we have one more sentence. One more sentence. So get ready. We're going to do one more sentence dictation. Listen, and then write down what you hear. I'll whip her food up later. 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 And last time, for the delay, I'll whip her food up later. I'll whip her food up later. Maybe not one last time because I'm going to say it again and again. I'll whip her food up later. All right, so take a minute to try to answer that question. What do you hear? Some questions coming in via Facebook. My accent is the American accent. Specifically, it's American accent. I'm from California. I'm from the West Coast. So my accent would be and is very different than the East Coast, someone from New York, for example. So my accent is the West Coast American accent. One last time, I'll whip her food up later. 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 I will. I'll whip her food up later. Deborah Vinya in Facebook. Awesome. Good job. Hirofumi, I'll whip her food up later. Hirofumi in YouTube, awesome. I'll whip her food up later. Alini, great job. Awesome. Awesome. Great job, everybody. So as you probably realized right now, and Abdul, I think it was, let me go back and Abdullah Hadoun, whip up. Okay, the phrasal verb was the key, okay? So the phrasal verb was absolutely the key because some people wrote in my first question, right? I wrote, when did you whip her up some food? And some of you knew, when did you? Some food, but you missed that first part. You missed what that phrasal verb was. And as we reviewed, the phrasal verb was whip up. W-H-I-P, up, whip up, okay? Whip up is a phrasal verb. However, as you know, phrasal verbs have objects. Sometimes they're separable, inseparable. Sometimes they need a pronoun. Sometimes they need a noun. There's all kinds of tiny little rules with phrasal verbs. However, you also realize that when I added that object, that pronoun, her, okay, whip her up, it sounded completely different. It sounded completely different. And we also have some differences between the two sentences of I'll whip her up some food and I'll whip her food up later. So can anyone tell me what the difference is between whip her up some food and whip her food up? Is there a difference in those two sentences? Is there a difference? Okay. Is there a difference? I don't know if this is giving you a hint of the answer. So yes. And so what I want to help you understand here is, as Abdullah, is that Abdullah, mentioned that the phrasal verb was the key. And as you just realized today, that using, Pauline, yes, the place of up is what's different. So by hearing a phrasal verb in a conversation, or hearing a phrasal verb being used, by hearing a phrasal verb in audio, you're able to learn how the phrasal verb sounds naturally in a conversation. So if you were looking at a book or looking at a website or reading a worksheet and you saw whip up, you would read, whip up. Whip up means to prepare food quickly. Great. I got it. I know it, right? Now I know this phrasal verb. Then you come to my live lesson, or maybe you come over to my house and I say, hey, would you like me to whip her up some food? I'm going to whip her up some food. Do you want me to whip you up some food? I'll whip her up some food. And you're like, wiper, rip, wipe, whipper, ripper, riper, rip. What are you saying? Jennifer, I don't understand what you're saying. I don't understand that phrasal verb. But you learned the phrasal verb before and you knew what it meant, right? But what you didn't learn, what you didn't get practice with, and what you didn't review is how it actually sounds, and most importantly, how it's actually used. And this is huge. This is really important with English vocabulary, with grammar, with everything. What you read in a book and the rules that you see and the sentences examples that you read when you're doing self-study and working on your own sometimes is so much different than how it's actually used by a native speaker or by other people. So it's really important for you to get the practice of how the language sounds, okay? This is exactly why I want to invite you again to the Phrasal Verb Conversation Club, okay? The Phrasal Verb Conversation Club is going to give you this type of practice. It's going to not just give you a list of phrasal verbs and say, good luck using them. Here's a word, here's a definition, use them, bye, okay? Absolutely not. We are going to take important phrasal verbs. We're going to take useful phrasal verbs. And first, you're going to hear them being used naturally in a conversation or with some type of audio. And you're also going to have the written transcript or the article or the written component to read along with as well. But what's most important is that in the Phrasal Verb Club, you are going to be hearing how the phrasal verbs are used naturally, which means you're going to learn the pronunciation, the linking, how to connect it, etc., etc. So if you are not familiar with the Conversation Club, it's brand new. As we say, brand spanking new. Brand spanking new. The Conversation Club is actually starting in May. It's starting next month, so we only have a couple more weeks to join. However, when you join, you're going to get immediate access to some bonus materials and some information, including information about the phrasal verb whip up. Okay, we talked about whip up today. So I want to know if you have questions about the Phrasal Verb Club, okay? You can join the Phrasal Verb Club right now. If you thought today was so good, I loved hearing it naturally being used, I loved hearing how the phrasal verb is used, then you will absolutely love the Conversation Club. So I'm going to put the link here. It is bit.ly/pvclub1. And when you click that link, or when you sign up with that link, you are going to be able to go to the login page and sign up. So who has questions about the Phrasal Verb Club? Who has questions about the Phrasal Verb Club? And who is joining the Phrasal Verb Club? Who's excited? Who's going to join me in the club? Who's joining me in the club? All right. Let me know if you have questions. And let me answer some of these other comments. So we have a question coming in that says, Jennifer, do you advise some books to prepare phrasal verbs? So Ali Rashadi, no. I'm highly recommending my Phrasal Verb Conversation Club to learn phrasal verbs. Why? Because you're going to learn phrasal verbs in context, okay? You're going to hear them being used. You're going to hear how they're used. And you're going to learn from context first. You're going to learn from context first what they mean, and then later you're going to review the definitions. So you are first learning from context, then you're going to learn with the definitions, then you're going to learn with even more context and even more practice. So I don't recommend using a book because a book gives you no practice. Additionally, I gave the example of if you read a worksheet or if you read a book with the phrasal verb whip up, then you would have learned, whip up. Cool. So in your mind, you read whip up. But then in this dictation challenge, I said, when did you whip her up some food? And nobody was able to catch. Nobody was able to get that I used whip her up. Whip up. Why? You studied the phrasal verb, right? You knew what that word meant. However, you didn't know how it was used. You didn't know how it sounded. Because you didn't know how it was used or how it sounded because you read a book, it was very difficult for you to hear it naturally being used. So this is why I'm recommending the the Phrasal Verb Conversation Club. Let me just put, here's the link that you can sign up. So this is why I recommend the club, because you're learning with context, not a book. So Ali, do you advise some books to improve our phrasal verbs? I just answered that question. I don't recommend books to learn phrasal verbs because you're not learning with context. Let me come back in the chat. So is it possible to join in June? I have, Pauline, can't you do 75,000 things at once? I'm just kidding. You can join in June. Send me a message. Eleni, how many phrasal verbs? Phrasal verbs, P-H-R-A-S-A-L, phrasal verbs, does English have? Oh my gosh. You put me on the spot here. Eleni, I don't know the exact number of how many phrasal verbs English has, but I know the main verb pick has a phrasal verb pick up, and pick up has about 10 different meanings alone. So if one phrasal verb pick up has like 10 different meanings, imagine how many phrasal verbs actually exist. Dora, you're thinking about it? Dora, you're always on that fence. You love being on that fence. I'm going to push you off the fence onto the side of joining. Adriana, in the club, we are going to practice live with you. So Adriana, we are going to have a group conversation called Excellent Question. So the Phrasal Verb Conversation Club is a monthly, or really a 4-week membership. It's a 4-week club. Okay, so in the first week, you're being introduced to new phrasal verbs with audio conversation, with practice, and you're going to be introduced to these words and their meanings. The second week, you're going to get more situational practice, and you're going to begin applying what you've learned to your own life. This is also incredibly important, because I could give you an example with John and Mary in a phrasal verb, but who's John, who's Mary, and how does that relate to you? So in the second week of the Conversation Club, we work on finding the ways that you can use the phrasal verbs in your conversation, in your life. So we talk about different situations that we can use it. We're also going to have a conversation practice with another native speaker. So it's not going to be just me and my accent helping you. I'm going to be inviting different native speakers every month to talk about and use these phrasal verbs. So you're going to hear a different accent, and you're going to hear a different way to use the words. You're also going to have a conversation lesson in week 2 with this other native speaker. You're also going to connect with the other conversation clubbers. So you really could be practicing your speaking every single day, because I'm going to connect you with somebody else in the club that's going to help you practice speaking. And then in the last week, in week 4, we're all going to meet together live, and we're going to have a live lesson with me. So yes, Adriana, you are going to meet with me live. You are going to meet with me live. Dora, you're considered. Eduardo Matias, the word whip up is new for you. There are 9 other phrasal verbs in the club right now as the bonus material for when you sign up. So Eduardo, come inside the Conversation Club and learn 9 more phrasal verbs connected to whip up. Actually, they're connected to daily routine. Alini BCH, I've been learning English by myself. I've never been at English school in my life. Well, good job. Good job. All right. So Eleni, oh my God. I don't know why you're saying oh my God, but yes. So if you want to join, we have, again, week 1, introducing phrasal verbs through natural context. Most importantly, you're going to hear how they are used first. Before you learn the definition, before you review anything, you're going to learn how they're used. You're going to hear them being used. You're going to hear them being linked. You're going to hear them in a conversation. Next, you're going to get the definition, more situational examples, and you're going to learn how they're being used. We're going to connect you. I'm going to connect you with other native speakers to have different accents being heard. And I am going to have a live lesson with you every month. So it is starting now. You can enroll in the Conversation Phrasal Verb Club right now. So you can join right now, bit.ly/pvclub1. Okay, that's the short link because the long link is courses.englishoutsidethebox.com/p/phrasal verbs, and that's a little too long. And yes, so you can join the club now. I'm going to be available to answer questions. If you have any other questions related to the Phrasal Verb Club, you can send me an email. You can comment below on this chat box. So what also I want you to do as we end this lesson is practice. Of course, I recommend joining the club and practicing with me every week and every month. But if you're not joining the club, I still want you to practice. I still want you to practice. So below this video in the comments, I want you to review what we've learned today. So we have reviewed, you're right, that link did not work. bit.ly/pvclub. Yes, it did. The link did work. PV Club. Try again, maybe refresh. bit.ly/pvclub1. Yes, try again. Ahmed Adil, try again. It should work. So below this video, you want to practice what you're learning. So today we reviewed the phrasal verb whip up. Whip up means to prepare food quickly. So below this video, I want you to write your own sentence examples using the phrasal verb whip up. I want you to use some variety, use different objects, use different pronouns, write questions, and practice in a variety of ways. Where are you going to be able to use this phrasal verb? Do you whip up food often? Who whips up food in your house? So try to write as many sentences as you can below this video or in the comment section for you to practice what we've learned today. We're going to end this lesson. I'm going to see you guys in the Conversation Club. And remember to let me know if you have any questions. The club is open for you to join now. There's materials in there now. And our first kickoff live party is soon. Will I see you there? See you guys soon. Have a great day. Happy Saturday. Stay motivated. Stay positive. You can learn English. Good luck.